All right, if you're one of the, 320 million people using Microsoft Teams every month, this deep dive is definitely for you. We're really focusing today on making sure your Microsoft 365 setup, your M365 environment, is properly secured. Because frankly, Teams, which is so central to how organizations collaborate, well, it had some critical flaws.
That's right. Checkpoint Research, CPR, uncovered some vulnerabilities that essentially allowed attackers, whether external guests or even insiders, to just completely undermine trust within the platform.
And the headline finding is pretty shocking, isn't it? Flaws that let attackers convincingly impersonate, say, your CEO, and mess with messages, all without leaving a clear trace.
Exactly. It boils down to four main vulnerabilities that CPR reported to Microsoft back in early 2024.
Wow.
And it's telling that the fixes weren't fully rolled out until October 2025.
Wow, yeah, 19 months.
That's a
long
lot.
time.
It really points to something fundamental, not just a simple bug, but a weakness in how teams handled identity and message data at an architectural level. It broke the basic trust boundaries.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics. How exactly was this trust broken? The first one was called invisible editing.
That's right. Attackers could actually change a message after it was sent. They did this by fiddling with something called the client message ID parameter.
And the key part is no edited label showed up.
Correct. The recipient would see the altered message, completely unaware it had been changed. Undermines the integrity of the whole conversation history, really.
Okay, that's one. Then you mentioned identity issues. There was one Microsoft tracked, CVE 2024-38197.
Yes, that relates to notification spoofing. This was quite clever. By modifying a different parameter, the display name, an attacker could make system notifications, those pop-ups you get, look like they came from anyone.
Anyone, like the CEO demanding you click a link now.
Precisely. It leverages that visual trust. You see the CEO's name, you react. It bypasses that critical thinking step.
Nasty. And it didn't stop there, right? Private chats were also vulnerable.
Yeah, the third one was private chat deception. Here, an attacker could change the topic of a private chat using a specific type of request, a PUT request.
So not just renaming the chat window, but actually misleading someone about what the conversation was supposed to be about.
Exactly. You might think you're in a chat about, project planning, but the attacker has changed the context to subtly fish for information or steer the conversation maliciously.
Okay, that's subtle deception. But the fourth one sounds, well, almost unbelievable. Forged caller ID.
This one was particularly striking. When initiating a video or audio call, the attacker could manipulate the display name in the technical data, the JSON payload, meaning the name that pops up on the recipient's screen showing who's calling could be completely faked. You could get a video call, see CEO on the screen, but it's actually the attacker.
Whoa. Okay, let's just pause there. Invisible edits, fake notifications, misleading chat topics, and now forged caller ID even on live calls. It basically means everything you see in Teams, the sender, the topic, the caller, could potentially be a lie. That's a massive security challenge for users.
It absolutely is. And when you connect these technical loopholes to real-world threats, you see the danger. We're talking about tactics used by sophisticated groups, APTs.
Like what specifically?
Financial fraud, definitely. Using that faked executive authority to approve bogus transfers, delivering malware through manipulated messages or links, harvesting login credentials, classic social engineering, but amplified by the trusted interface.
So given that these weren't, super complex 0 days, but exploited basic parameters, and APTs use these kinds of tricks, the question really becomes, how do you operate safely in M365? Relying just on Microsoft's patches seems insufficient.
It is. The platform fixes are crucial, baseline security, but organizations need layers on top. Implementing things like zero trust access controls is important, yes.
But those often focus on scanning files, checking links, right,
Yeah.
to advanced threat prevention stuff.
Exactly. Necessary, but they don't really address this kind of identity fraud effectively.
Yeah.
If the system thinks the message or call is from the CEO, those checks might pass it through.
So if the tech controls have limits here, it really comes down to the human element, the user.
Precisely. It puts the onus back on critical thinking and, crucially, verification protocols. Organizations need to embed this. If you get an urgent or sensitive request, especially about money or credentials via Teams, you must verify it through a separate channel.
Like an out-of-band confirmation. A quick phone call on a known number, maybe? Or a different messaging app?
Absolutely. Something completely independent of Teams to confirm the person in the request are legitimate. trusting the visual display alone just isn't safe anymore.
Okay, so the big takeaway here for keeping your M365 environment secure, minimizing your susceptibility, it's a combination. You need the platform fixes from Microsoft, sure, but you absolutely have to pair that with personal vigilance and really strict verification habits.
Couldn't agree more.
Which leaves us with a final thought. If an attacker can look exactly like your CEO on a video call or in that urgent chat notification, think about your own daily workflow. How many critical business actions rely purely on trusting what you see on that screen? And where, specifically, do you need to build in that mandatory second check, that out-of-band verification?